Oh, hey. Hey, music friends. What's going on out there? It is I, Mr. Cockery, in the orange room. It's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. I'm going to share this with friends where, I think you know by now, hither and yon. Hither and yon is the places we will go. Hither and yon, and let the gristle flow. Let the gristle flow. Folks, I was supposed to have some guitars show up today, but they're a little late, so I don't have any new guitars, but Steve suggested I do a Gristle Master thing again, so I'm here for you with Gristle Mastering and also answering questions as they may develop in our sphere of influence. I'm going to share this to a page. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to press this button. I'm going to post it right now. I'm going to put the phone down. Hi, folks. Tosa Turquoise is the name of this guitar. And, well, it's the name of the color of this guitar. It's a Gristle 90 signature guitar that I have with Reverend Guitars. It features the Fishman Fluence Gristle Tone P90 pickups, which are multi-voiced and totally doggone quiet. Yes, can you dig it? Hey, music friends out there. We got Mark, we got Tom, we got Lawton Childs, we got Matty K, we got David. Greetings. Oh, I just like that neck pickup sounds so doggone juicy. Yeah, I like that kind of talk. Folks, it's they have the Gristle Masters in all the various colors at Wildwood right now. There's a link in the description if you guys would like to peruse them. I'm just going to tickle some today, as I did the other day. Waiting for the new, I got 4 new guitars that were supposed to land here. Sometimes I get here right before I'm supposed to go on. I was going to grab a Les Paul and play it. However, they have not yet arrived. They might arrive as we're in the middle of broadcast. But what are you going to do? What you going to do? What you going to do? Well, oh, I'll have to get back to this individual who is texting me, texting me. Oh, yes. Do, 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 do. I like that neck pickup. I could stay there all day. Ladies and gentlemen, I could stay there all day. Greg, I just brought this is Nosmo King is asking, I just bought a guitar that is neck heavy like an SG, so the neck droops when I stand up and play. Do you have any suggestion for addressing that with a strap or something like that? Boy, you know, I have never had to deal with that situation my own self. I would imagine you just have to concentrate when you're holding it. I don't know if there's any quick fixes. Maybe some people out there in movie land have some suggestions in that regard. Maybe some people in movie land have suggestions. Suggestions. Maybe some people in movie land. Oh, what's going on? There's a ghost in my computer. I think Ryan's in my computer. Everything is cool. I'm just turning some reverb down. Okay, cool. All right. I thought there was a ghost in my computer there for a minute. Thank you, Ryan. Will you be getting the Gristle Master back in black? That's a good question, Mr. Flat Fifth. The flathead 5 is the tone of the devil. The flathead 5 goes something like that. I think so. For those who are wondering what he's talking about, the Reverend and Wildwood collaborated on an exclusive Gristle Master, which is this guitar. This is Mr. Gristle Master, and this is in Blucifer. And they did one in Midnight Black with a larger neck profile that was indicative of my old custom shop Strat I had back in the day. So it was kind of a soft V, but a big old neck. November of '56, I believe, was the official nomenclature, the official moniker. And then they also did a version in an orange color that we dubbed Koch Work Orange. See what we did there? And that had the regular small C-shaped neck that the regular Gristle Masters had. And then for a while, they swapped the necks out. So there were some Midnight Black versions with the original neck shape, and there were some orange ones with the fatter neck profile. And then those got all sold out. But I think that there will be a return to some of those as the supply chain issues start to even out. I believe there will be more. Can you dig it? Love the Gristle King, says Derek. Lots of tone. I'm glad you dig it. You know what? What's funny is the Gristle King is my signature pedal I've had with my buddy Tim Yarning. I went to college with Tim Yarning in the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point. He was a couple years younger than myself, and we were music majors. And then he came back down to Milwaukee for a while and was working at a place called Walker Music and doing the do and playing some gigs and ended up getting married. And then I believe he went back to school to get a full-on engineering degree and then was gainfully employed using his engineering skills and started to dabble with making guitar effects pedals. And he made me a clean boost. Well, actually, he just started off with a clean boost that he was selling called the Luxury Drive, which is a beautiful sounding pedal. And then he's like, what if I designed an overdrive pedal for you? So I'm like, that'd be fantastic. So he came up with something called we called it the Diabolical Gristle Tone Manipulator, the DGTM, if you will. And then at one point, this is 20 years ago, I guess, getting around there, somewhere in that nape of the neck. And then I said, hey, Tim, what if we combine that great clean boost with the overdrive? And then we ended up doing that and calling it the Gristle King. So that's the pedal that we're speaking of. We had versions out that Tim and I sold through our websites, going back, as I said, almost 20-ish years. And then for a hot minute, we hooked up with T-Rex pedals out of Denmark because they were talking to me about doing a pedal. And I said, well, you know, I don't really use that many pedals. And the ones I do use are made by this buddy of mine, unless you would help us, because we were having a hard time keeping up with the demand, because poor Tim would be strapped to his workbench at night after he worked a full day as an engineer, and he'd come home and have to make those doggone pedals. So we were getting backlogged. So we did a deal with T-Rex for a couple years, and that kind of ran its course, and we got control back of the pedals again, and made a few tweaks just as, you know, kind of just making the overdrive just a little bit more juicy and succulent and so on and so forth. Some minor tweaks that Tim made. And we called that the Gristle King 3. And again, we were having a hard time keeping up with demand. And then we actually did a pedal for a short period of time called the Triple Gristle. We made 50. Actually, there were 100 made, 50 for Tim's website, 50 for my website. And that included the Gristle King, so I had the clean boost, the overdrive, but we also had worked on this fuzz pedal over the years, which we called the F-Bomb. And the third iteration was the one. It was the F-Bomb 3. So that was included in this pedal as well, and it also had a little buffer on it. But as Tim started to make these things, he realized how long it took to make one pedal, because it basically had 3 pedals in it. So he was freaking and peaking, and it took forever to fulfill the order. So there are a few people that have those pedals, and they love them because they are a glorious thing, and at some point they might be worth some serious dough, because I've been trying to get, hey, Tim, why don't we make some more of those? He's like, I can't do it. I said, I understand. So then what we did is we designed a version of the Gristle King, with Gristle King 3, and we were able to get Fishman to manufacture them for us. So Fishman manufactures them for us. We get them from Fishman, we package them up, and we send them out. So, and we just got another batch in. So I've been actually playing quite a bit of my Gristle King lately, because every time I'm using the looper, I don't have that going through the effects loop, so I need an overdrive in front of it, or else if I use the overdrive on the amp, obviously that would distort everything. So, and the overdrive on the Koch amp is sublime, and for years I've just been basically plugging straight into the amp. But during this, period of time where I've been doing videos from the house, I've been messing around with some pedals, and I've got the Gristle King back in the fold, and I got to tell you, it sounds awesome. So any of the live streams you've been seeing lately with the band that we've been doing, I've been using the Gristle King for a clean boost and an overdrive, and man, it sounds good. Can you dig it? Oh, will you dig? So for instance, if I hit I did a little loop right before I went on live, just a funky little thing like a... So here is the sound of just the... Now I can go to the second voice on these pickups by pressing in this button, just get something a little meatier. Back to middle position. Now if I pop up this tone control, I get an out of phase sound. Press the button in to get a little bit more heat. Now I'll hit the clean boost on the Gristle King. Bridge pickup. Add that boost. And we put now I'm putting the gain part of the Gristle King on. Overdrive off. Gristle King's off now. Lots of tones going on there. Lots of tones happening there. And I like this color. I wanted to do this color. We call it Tosa turquoise. And for those of you who are unaware, when we got the first batch, they were the wrong color turquoise. But it was still a cool color. So we called that one Bradford Beach Blue. And they were available. They were all sold out, but it was such a popular tone here that there might be some of those available later on this year, and Wildwood will have them. Many sounds on it and usable. Yes, that is the point. It does many, many fun things. I like having that button available to me, folks, because sometimes you got your gain on, and you're doing a lead, and you just want, or maybe you got the crunch part of a song you're doing. And then it comes times for you just want a little incremental push, nothing massive, just a little something, something. And boy, that button comes in mighty handy. Whether you're using a pedal, whether you're using amp gain, whether you just have an amp turned up, it's just that little morsel that gives you a little something, something. A little morsel, a little something, something. Yes, the Bradford Beach Blue will make a return at some point. Can you dig it? Will you dig it all? You know, folks, I'm going to just, I thought it would be fun. In addition to just playing these guitars, you can hear them. I've been messing around with the looper lately, and I'll just show you kind of how I mess with the looper. I have a tendency, sometimes I'll do a whole song, but other times, let's see what we got. I'll go over here. There we go. So my looper's down here, right? And it's the MXR clone looper. I was using the the TC Electronics Ditto, which is a fine specimen. But then my buddy Brian Kehoe said, hey, you should check out ours. It's the MXR clone looper, and he sent me this thing, and I love it. And one of the biggest things I love about it is that the repeats, there seems to be a lot of definition. The fidelity of the repeats are quite, well, they sound good, right? So to get rid of the old loop, I got to press this button up for a second. And you hear that for a second. Now, I can get rid of that by pressing that other button down for a minute, and it'll get rid of it, but I'd rather just hear the loop, the old loop for a half second until it's gone than bend down there and mess around. So which version of the Gristle King is that? That is the current version. That is the Fishman made one. That's what I've been using. And you can kind of see where I have the controls there. That's kind of, I always tweak them a little bit, but those little toggle switches right here, I always have this one out this way, this one out that way, and I have the gain be post clean boost. You can either be post or pre, and I like it post. That's where I put the button, and that's kind of where I have it set. What question? I think it's hard to use looper, says Laura. It is a kind of a pain in the butt. I like to keep them shorter. So, for instance, if I do like I might do something like that, and I might do. Then I have to press that green button so that it won't record anymore. Now, if I want to get rid of any of the last loops I just did, now I'm back to the original loop. So that's kind of a cool feature. And if I want to record on top of this, I gotta go like. that again. Maybe add the lead. And then you want to erase it, you just press that button again. I do slide, I like to press that button in to get a little bit more meat, maybe back off on the tone control just a little bit. The idea. Fun with the loop. So that's what I do. That's what I do with the loopy doopy doop. Yeah, most of my, I mean, I won't lie to you. I was, after the fact, influenced by Derek, especially, you know, the way he interpreted the gospel-y slide. But I'm a Dwayne Allman dude, Sonny Landreth. I was playing slide in that kind of vein a long time ago. So like kind of, I guess the first slide solo I ever learned was Mick Taylor. I love the way Mick Taylor played because he had that vibrato. And I heard, and then I just figured out he got that from Earl Hooker. Robert Nighthawk had that kind of vibrato. Love Ry Cooder as well. Then I heard Derek Trucks, and I was like, how is he doing this, that, and the next thing? It drove me insane because his intonation was so damn perfect. So that's really what influenced me more than anything about Derek was how was he able to replicate those East Indian sounds and the gospel-y stuff from the Sacred Steel record and with standard slide guitar. And I was like, there's got to be a way to do it. Jack Pearson also does that quite effectively, and Jack Pearson's got his own thing as well. So Derek was very much influenced by that Sacred Steel way of playing gospel-y slide, that very vocal sound of which A.J. Gent is a current master of, and he got it from, you know, his dad and I think his great uncle were the originators of that stuff. So can you dig that? So. I do fret with my slide sometimes. I don't do it as much as I first did when I was trying to get those pitches down, just muscle memory stuff. So that's a good suggestion for your slide playing, folks. You can actually, you know, fret with the slide. So for instance, if I'm doing something in standard tuning, like, turn that delay up. Isn't it amazing? And just adding that little slapback delay. Of course, this is an analog delay. It's the Jam Pedals Delay Llama. But this warms the sound up a little bit, doesn't it? Oh. In addition to adding a little slapback. Anyway, so if I do that, now if I just played standard slide, sounds fine. But if you want to get those pitches down initially, I'm actually pressing down. So I just press down behind the fret. I'm actually fretting with the slide for a split second just to get the pitch, and then going from there. I don't do it as much anymore, but I still use it every now and again to just like do a quick pitch check, and then I hover the slide over just on the string, but not on the fretboard. So that's a fun way to work on your slide, folks, to get your pitch happening, and then just try to do some, like. Another thing too is slide up to each note. Like instead of just kind of going, So anytime you do a lick, you're always sliding up first, like like that Dwayne thing, like. Gives it an extra little twang. So check that stuff out. I thought Derek was doing that, but what was kind of funny is that I thought I cracked the code. So because I was working on this one tune that Derek was, and I could swear I could hear him fretting with the slide. So I did a little video of me doing some of that stuff, and I sent it to my buddy Jimmy Herring, and he said, "I think you've cracked the code." I go, "Is this what Derek's doing?" He's like, "I don't know, but I think you cracked the code." And then another buddy of mine got a hold of Derek and said, "Is that what you're doing?" He goes, "I don't think so, but I think I'm going to start," which was flattering. But it sure sounds like he is. Maybe he's not even aware that he's doing that, but but it sure sounds like it. Anyway. How long did I practice when I was a kid? I just played all the time, as I remember. I started when it was the summer of 7th grade. So I played all the time. My grades started to suffer. My parents were not pleased. So they'd do stuff like hide my guitar, but I knew where they hid it. So when they'd go out, I'd be like, I can go in the closet, get out my guitar, start playing it. But you know what? It all turned out. Chords behind the slide. Yes, you can do that as well. Those get a little tricky. You kind of pick up the slide a little bit. So I'm fretting them. You can also do stuff where you're like doing diagonal. So I'm actually fretting behind there. So I'm in G right here. So I'm using this finger a whole step down. It's kind of tricky though, because you got to not flub it. Because you're lifting up that slide and you're only hitting the one string without hitting the other one. Right? Add that to your arsenal, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Free Lesson Tuesday, exactly. people sometimes ask why I did the P90s. I've always been a fan of P90s, but they were always very, very noisy to me. I remember one of the greatest tones I've ever heard in my life was a buddy of mine, Bob Welsh, a local fella, would always play his Les Paul Jr. through a blonde Bassman head and 212 cabinet. Just crank it up, and it just sounded so damn good. So I always liked P90s, but anytime you added some gain to them, man, they were noisy. And depending on what guitar they were in and how they were voiced, they could be real nasally and weird. So when I started working, actually my buddy Rick Land made me kind of a quote-unquote signature guitar years ago. It had 3 P90s in it. And we messed around a little bit with the voicing of the pickups and so on and so forth. So I've always had a desire to have some P90 stuff. As a matter of fact, I used his guitar with the P90s on it, quite a bit of that Plays Well With Others record, including on the original Godzilla, where I'm going back and forth with Paul Barrera on that song. That's a guitar with P90s in it. Anyway, so I wanted to do P90s, and I thought, well, if we could do some P90s where they kept quiet, so I like a neck pickup that's kind of got the, as I like to say, it's kind of the kind of a velvety glass. And then the bridge pickup has this squawk to it. It almost sounds a little out of phase-ish, but and that's what and when I started playing the Reverend guitars, their P90s had that sound. And so I wanted to be able to get that kind of a tone and then with no noise, and then have, again, this boost feature. In this case, it's a separate voice that's instigated by pressing that button, and then that cool out of phase sound, right? Pedal. If I do the amp distortion, it's not quite as loud on the So that's just the amp right now. So that's the Greg amp by Koch, which they're going to get more of them in, as well as the little Gristles will be coming in very soon. And once I get one of the new little Gristles here, I'll play that, and they're going to the first batch of them are only going to be available at Wildwood. But here, check it out. So this is the clean sound of the amp, right? Now with the clean sound of the amp, I can hit this OTS feature, which is output tube saturation button. So what that allows me to do, on the very top of the amp here, there's a whole other layer of buttons. And there's a gain and a volume for the OTS. The OTS stands for output tube saturation. So it's a 1/2 watt power amp tube that you can overdrive and then add that to either channel, which is very useful. So if I'm on the clean channel, I want to add a little bit of hair, I add that OTS, and it sounds like this. Here's without it. It's a nice little meat. Now I'll turn that off. Now I'll just go to the second channel. This is the overdrive channel, different sound. Now, if I add the OTS to that sound, it gets real. Back just to the lead channel. There's also a lead boost, overdrive boost for that channel, above and beyond the OTS. That sounds like this. All right, so I could press the button here on the guitar and get a little more heat. Now, if I hit that OTS on top of that, it almost sounds like a fuzz. With the out of phase. That's just the guitar and the amp, folks. It's a potent combination. A potent combination. Yes. So as you hear that, you know, I voiced my Gristle King to sound like the amp when I use it. But that was just the amp by itself, which sounds majestic. So in order for me to use any delays and whatnot with the amp, I have to go through the effects loop, and sometimes I just get lazy, and I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I just don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, twin tens, 2 10s. That is correct. A potent combination. But that clean sound sounds so good. Another thing great about these pickups is that I always would do this modification on my guitars anyway, but a treble bleed switch, which would actually Reverend does it to all their guitars. It's so that when you turn down the volume, you don't lose any highs. Because on some guitars, you turn down the volume and it gets all muffly and whatnot. So I just wanted to get less loud. Still maintain my highs. I maintain my highs. Can you dig it? There you have it. Let's grab the gold one for the heck of it. As I said, on the description of the video, I have a link to the Wildwood site, and they have actually a pretty good quantity of all the different colors of the Gristle 90s in stock as we speak. Let's grab this bad boy. I've got this one in the key of open G because I've been doing some different tunes in open G as of late with the band, so I keep the golden Gristle in open G, and boy, it sounds good. These guitars sound especially good with Mr. Slide. So if we do a little. Right? Sounds good. That rock music, it makes you feel good. Nubby must have been a hoarder man. That's exactly correct. That's a tune of mine. Nubby must have been a hoarder man. Nubby must have been a hoarder man. Been taking his stuff by day and night ever since he went away. Well, a clown car house it must have been. I got no idea how we fit it all in. Now they're taking it all away. Right? But I rushed to pick up on a U-Haul truck. You get the idea. Sounds good. These P90s sound killer for slide. Killer for slide. Ba-da-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Richard asks, is the other amp you spoke of the same, just lower wattage and less features, or completely different? Well, there are two other amps coming, but the one that's coming first, the little Gristle, is a totally different beast. It is this amp has two EL34s, is either 50 or 25 watts, and has all those crazy features on, including the harmonic vibrato. Right? The other little amp is a single 12. It's a tweed cabinet. It has one tube. It has an EL34 tube, although you can swap it out for a 6L6, 6V6. That's what they said you could do, and I don't think it needs to be rebiased. It'll just take it from, which sounds like witchcraft to me, but that's what they said. I haven't done it yet, but be that as it may, it has a single EL34 tube, and it either runs at 12 or 4 watts. It has a volume and a gain. The gain is called Gristle, and the master is called More. It has a single tone control, and it has reverb. But there's also a boost feature on it that is foot switchable. So it is a throw-and-go machine. I actually used the prototype on some gigs. It sounded freaking awesome. So I would just kind of throw, and it's loud enough to play with a band, believe it or not. 12 watts, it's a loud 12 watts. And the cabinet's a little larger than something like a Pro Junior or something like that, or even a Deluxe. It's a little bit larger than what like a Tweed Deluxe would be. And therefore, when you crank it and you just have the power amp tube doing its thing, it doesn't get that boxy thing that sometimes those smaller amps do when you crank the power amp section of the amp. Yes, when I have that amp, the new one here, I'm going to be demoing it, and that should coincide with the availability of the amps at Wildwood. Although, if you wanted one, I'd put one on hold because there's only going to be 18 of the original shipment, and I know that people have been ordering them. So if you're ready to rock, I would call them and just put your name on the list. And then when I get one, I will mic it up and we will play that rascal, and you will go forth and conquer. Can't wait to see it. When? How much? These are all good questions. When? April is when it should be at hand. At first I thought it was going to be earlier, but I can say with some degree of certainty that April will be when they are here. The cost is going to be right around $1,000, I believe, for the little jobber. Maybe $1,100, something like that, but Can you dig it? Will you dig it? There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. April is not that far away, Maddie K. You are correct. Can you tell him to make some left-handed signatures, Greg? You know, I'm sorry about that. You know, the problem isn't with the guitars. Reverend can do the guitars left-handed, no problem. It's the way that the pickups are made and the way that this control plate is made with the way that the battery's in there and all that other kind of stuff. There's a lithium-ion battery in there. You actually charge them up via this. I'll show you that. For those of you who don't know, a little mini USB thing there that you charge up the batteries. And anyway, so the problem is getting the left-hand set of the pickups, which we haven't been able to do that as of yet, because there's so much back orders for just the regular one. So there you have it. That's affordable for an amp of such magnitude. I think so too, Dennis. Doggone it. The Greg amp, which has all those features on it: harmonic vibrato, the 2 channels, the OTS boost, the 3-button reverb, which you can really dial in. You know, two 10s. You know, and it's a boutique-ish amp that's made, you know, in the Netherlands, and they go for about 26 hundo. But in comparison to a lot of, you know, boutique amps, that's not really all that much for what you get. I know that's still $2,600 for an amp. I get it. It's not cheap. But in comparison to a lot of boutique amps, that's actually pretty inexpensive in comparison to a lot of other amps and what you get. The Greg is my favorite amp ever. Well, thank you, W.C. Ray. I appreciate that. Michael Burrell, thank you very much indeed. My kidney will grow back. Yes, it will. Well, you only need one, from what they tell me. Diggity dog on it. There you have it. It is a lot for the dough. I mean, when you consider that most of the gigs I've done in the last 4 years, I haven't brought any pedals out other than the controller for the amp, a guitar and a chord, and I'm done. You know, because I got all my different gains on there, beautiful reverb, and that harmonic vibrato takes the place of the need for a Univibe or a Leslie thing. Now, that being said, I have been having fun with my Univibe and my Leslie simulator and so on and so forth. So I've kind of got my pedal board back in action again, but you know, having options is good. But I guarantee you, if I get sick of hooking all this stuff together, I'll be going straight into the amp again. Can you dig it? Is the smaller amp in the same blue color as the Greg? No, the smaller amp is going to be tweed. And they assured me it was an American tweed. American tweed! Cover up my amp! American tweed! What? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. It is saucy. The Gristle Master. Let me just plug in the Gristle Master for the last 5 minutes here that we're on, just so you can hear that in comparison. One of the crazy things about the Fishman Fluence pickups, folks, is that I leave the amp, the controls the same, and whether I'm playing a Strat with my Fluence pickups, my Gristle Master, which has more of the Tele pickups, the humbuckers that I have in my 335 that are the Fluence humbuckers, or grab these guitars with the P90s, which are Fluence pickups. They sound like they're supposed to sound, but I don't have to mess with the amp. It's not like you have to go, oh my God, I got to change the settings on the amp because it sounds totally different. They all are in the same ballpark. So I literally can go from one to the next, and you're ready to rock. So check it out. I'm going to grab Lucifer, as I like to call this little rascal. This is the Reverend guitar I've had the longest, I think, as far as my guitars are concerned. A lot of miles on this guitar, folks. I've been all over the doggone world with this guitar. Well, not all over the world. Well, all over Europe and the United States. I think I might have even taken this one to Japan, as a matter of fact. Did I not? I can't remember. My brain is in need of a little thing called Prevagen. Prevagen. Sounds good. Do, 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 do. Yes, it is kind of fading. I always liked the way that, we call this blucifer. It's kind of a sonic blue. And over the wood, which is Carina, you'll see where the back is more of the traditional sonic blue, and the front it's see-through, so it's transparent. So it starts to get a little more green, and it's good, clean fun. Well, thank you, Rich Moran. Thank you for tuning in. Add a little heat on this rascal. See what we got. Mason says, that sounds Gristlelicious. What other Zepp tunes did I play with the custard pie? Or I think I did Rover. Remember that Dolly Dagger. So that's an actual univibe as opposed to the harmonic vibrato on the amp. Of course. Well, that's a good way to end our activities, I think. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in today. It was Gristle 90 and Gristle Master again day, here at Wildwood Live here on this Tuesday. And that's all there is to it. Hope you had fun tuning in. Again, there's a link in the description of this video to the Wildwood website where you're welcome to peruse. That's actually to all the Reverend guitars. As I said, they have all the colors of the Gristle Master. You got the cool Venetian gold, you got the Tosa turquoise, you got the midnight black, which is this one right here. Midnight black. Oh, that's a delicious tone hue, isn't it? Ebony fingerboard, Carina body. They all come stock with the Fishman Fluence Gristle Tone P90s. Are you going to travel to the Wildwood Lair again at some point in time? April 5th for the new Gristle Master True Fire course. You're correct, Jim C. I'm going to put that link up on my website post haste. I have a new Guitar Heroes course coming out where I cover what the influences I had of Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Albert King, and Roy Buchanan and Albert Lee. They said choose 6. It was hard to choose the 6 because, you know, B.B. King would have been on there for sure. Dwayne Allman, Dickie Betts, boy, so many. Albert Collins, diggity doggone it. Danny Gatton. But those are the 6 I picked. So you must know that is correct. All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a pleasant remainder of your day. Be back on Thursday. Okay? Thank you.